Hello, welcome to another episode of Forgotten Cemeteries of the Pacific Northwest. Today we're visiting Buck Hollow Cemetery, located in Willamina, Oregon, Yamhill County. Alternative names include Grub Hollow, Upper Willamina, and just simply Willamina. Should be noted that there is a specific Willamina Cemetery in Polk County, Oregon, so don't get confused. So let's go meet some of the local residents and hear a story. A little history about this cemetery. It was established in 1866 per the Oregon Burial Site Guide. Sign out front says 1917, and my guide says it's dedicated in 1917, so maybe that's why. There's 100 to 500 barrels per the Oregon Burial Site Guide. Find grave is showing around 675 memorials added so far. It would be part of the Lucien B. Fraser donation land claim. Unsure where that individual ended up. Sort of a hidden gem when it comes to Oregon cemetery exploration. It takes a while to get here, but it's well worth it. However, a cemetery with a lot of personality, apparently. We'll see during the tour. As far as the town of Willamina, it's named after Willamina Creek, which in turn was named after Willamina Williams. That's a fun name. After she fell off her horse into a creek. What a lovely story. She was born in Ohio in 1817 and is a pioneer of 1845, so early arrival into Oregon. Willamina, Oregon apparently had an economic eruption in 1907, brick making to be exact. Thus, the Willamina Clay Products plant was born. The bricks were used in the construction of the popular buildings in Oregon, such as the Portland Art Museum and the Lloyd Center. Today, we'll learn about why you should never feel old and useless, the deep family history of the Fendall family and their dental expertise back in 1700 and 1800s, and finally, the first controlled experiment that took place in 1776 along a British ship that turned out to be an accidental cure for scurvy, yet it was ignored. And our first stop is the headstone of Luke Booth, born in Lancashire, England in 1817. Came to America in 1830 with his parents. I believe they hung out in New York City until 1836, then went to Fort Des Moines. Sadly, Luke's father died in 1838, so did not get to enjoy America that long with tragedy. He would marry Phoebe Ann McClintock Booth in 1842. She's listed on the same headstone as him, obviously. I think she was born in Virginia in 1820 from what I read. Had a few kids together, and they are actually 1852 immigrants into Oregon. Records list Luke's occupation as a blacksmith, but sadly Luke died in 1904 on Phoebe's birthday, so that was unfortunate. Apparently he was very popular in the area, well-respected dude, and his funeral was largely attended. Now, I've been noticing this name quite a lot lately, this last name Fendall, and it's quite the last name in history. Here we have Charles Fendall's headstone, born in 1821 or 1822 in Baltimore, Maryland, in the Roland Park area. Also read that Charles's father, Dr. Edward Fendall, was a dental surgeon in 1810, and I find out why. Turned out that Edward Fendall's father was the cure of scurvy of the gums in the 1700s. Check out this write-up from the Maryland Gazette in 1776. Quote, he cures the scurvy in the gums, be it ever so bad, first cleans and scales the teeth from the corrosive, tartarous, gritty substances which impede the gums from growing. He prevents teeth from growing rotten, keeps such as the decay from growing worse, even to old age, makes the gums grow firm up to the teeth and renders them white and beautiful. He fills up with gold or lead, those that are hollow. He transplants natural teeth from one person to another, which can be firm in the jaw without any ligament, as if they originally grew there. His dentrifice is quite free from any corrosive preparation. End of quote. Continuing on with the Fendall and scurvy history, too bad they didn't realize the results from the first controlled experiment that took place in 1747 on the British ship known as the Salisbury. Scottish physician James Lind experimented for scurvy among 12 sailors on board. He divided them into 6 pairs. All ate the same food and lived together. Only difference was the treatment. Group 1 was given hard cider. Lucky them. Group 2 was given 25 drops of elixir of vitriol, aka sulfuric acid. Group 3 was given spoonfuls of vinegar. Group 4 was given a half a pint of seawater. Good God. Group 5, the lucky one, was given 2 oranges and 1 lemon. That's key right there. Group 6 was given spicy paste and barley water. So, Group 5, the oranges and lemon crew, magically got better. And the hard cider crew almost improved a little bit, but just slightly. However, people basically ignored Lind's results, and Lind would label scurvy as a digestive issue caused by blocked sweat glands, not realizing the vitamin C was most likely the cure to scurvy. Sadly, scurvy was a constant issue during the 1800s and 1900s, and it was mainly just a lack of vitamin C. Anywho, Charles was a pretty well-educated guy and eventually moved to Illinois in 1838, working there for a bit. Then he heard about this place called Oregon and got interested. And he joined the first wagon train in 1843 to Oregon. He was tasked as being a hunter along with the trip. Married a woman named Amanda Florence Rogers Fendall in 1848. She's not buried here apparently, but at Fendall Family Cemetery, so hopefully a future visit. But he would take part in the gold rush in 1849 in California and returned to Oregon in 1851, settling along the Willamina River. I guess during this time there was no white settlers around, and the local Native Americans were pretty cool with the Fendalls from what I read. And Charles built this badass house that represented home in Maryland. Had a southern charm to it, and in fact it was so big that they could see it from all over the Willamina Valley. Sadly, that home would burn down in 1904, which I don't know the Lafayette witch curse had anything to do with it in the Yamhill area. Oh, remember that story? I doubt the spell affected Charles's house though. But again, Charles and the Fendalls had a pretty good relationship with the Native Americans, to the point they would ask Charles for advice at sometimes, I guess. And the Fendall bloodline can be shown all the way back to 1628 on Find a Grave, so deep family history. I believe the earliest Fendall male listed, Josias Fendall Jr., took part in the famous English Civil War battle of the Severn in 1655 in Maryland, and he was taken prisoner at one point during the battle. Apparently this was the first battle fought between American soldiers on American soil. Somewhere out there in the cemetery is the resting place of John Patrick Dowd. Rarely do we come across an 1840 arrival into Oregon. His Find a Grave profile had no picture for a headstone, listed as unknown, so we'll just talk about his cool story. He was born in 1812 in County Kerry, Ireland. Someone was nice enough to post pictures of him in his obituary. Check out this badass. He would come to America in 1831. The write-up mentions he came to Oregon Territory as a soldier in 1840 and was stationed in Vancouver. I think that's why I can't find him anywhere on my Oregon Pioneer sources. He would be one of the early fur trappers in this area and served in the Indian Wars. He would travel down the Yamhill and take part in the meeting of Champoeg in 1842 when settlers voted for the annexation into the United States. And if you remember, we visited the headstone of FX Matthew, who casted the deciding vote at that famous meeting. Turns out, John was a close friend of his, actually. From what the write-up said, he stayed busy his whole life and died at the age of 109 in 1921. However, a funny story mentioned that during World War I, John would try to enlist at the age of 105. Keep in mind, World War I started in 1914. I guess the Army recruiter would notify John, "You're just too young to join." Again, not sure if there's a headstone out there, but this Find a Grave article mentioned he was buried in Willamina, so a very fun story. Alrighty, time for the tour. I did try to come to this one a very long time ago when I visited, what is it, Highland Cemetery. It's pretty close to this one, so if you want to visit that guy out here, it's a good time. And I think someone was getting buried, so I just turned around. Kansas City Chiefs. Haven't you won enough Super Bowls? I think the Kansas City fans are coming out of the woodwork anymore. Again, I was a Cleveland fan forever. Not anymore. Of course, I had to show you the sign, one of the more unique ones, and they do have a little plot maps here for you if you're interested. They say there's cams here. I don't know. Maybe there is. Mendenhall. I've seen that last name before. It seems to be like really heavy into the military, I'd say. There's Fendall. Talked about their family history. Pretty in depth. Seems to be a popular name here. A lot of lawn headstones, I notice. The flat design. We rarely see this style. I don't know what that style is called, but old school. I think we only seen that at one other cemetery actually in our travels. A little deer caught me off guard. I thought it was real from a distance. Oh, ooh. That must have been popular. Choice of beer, a little questionable. I'm spoiled with the dark beer. But, thanks for watching. Fun little stop if you're driving out in the country. Quiet one. Real quiet one. If you have any other recommendations for cemeteries to visit in Oregon, Southern Washington, feel free to pipe up below. Hope you're doing good, and have a good one. Thanks for watching.